Hey, I'm going to read to you out loud again from this book, Mobsters and Gangsters, written by Life. I'm going to read you about Frank Costello. Of central importance to the rise of organized crime in the United States was an Italian immigrant who toted a gun but preferred to get things done the old-fashioned way, with a whispered promise and a pocketful of hush money. Thus did Frank Costello attain the title Prime Minister of the Underworld. In 1895, 4-year-old Francisco Castiglia immigrated to Harlem, where his Calabrian parents set up a small grocery store. A tough kid, he put a black handkerchief over his face and robbed his family's landlady when he was 14. He hung out with Oni Madden's nasty gang, the Gophers, and was arrested a number of times while he was in his teens. In 1915, he was sentenced to a year in jail for carrying a concealed weapon. By that time, he called himself Frank Costello, the surname a telling choice with its Irish connotations. This was one Italian who was not straitened by ethnic exclusivity. He had a profitable relationship with Big Bill Dwyer. He married a Jewish woman named Loretta Geigerman, and a few years later went into a legit business with Harry Horowitz. The company produced, get this, Koopy dolls used as prizes for the punchboard craze. Hey, he made 80 grand in less than a year. Costello was a man who had a lot of partners, but none of them were more significant than two he met as a boy, Lucky Luciano and Meyer Lansky. He teamed with Luciano on booze, slot machines, and gambling. With Lansky, he set up the Havana operation. As important as his gangland connections with the slew of cops, politicos, and judges, he called them my boys, with whom he curried favor and vice versa. There were, just for one example, widespread rumors of an understanding with J. Edgar Hoover. Costello was in sum the link between the mob and the so-called straights. The cool-headed prime minister was invaluable, a crime titan, and everything was humming along until the 40s. Luciano had been deported, and the ruthless Vito Genovese was setting sights, as in gun sights, on the Luciano family top spot. Then in the early 50s, the Coup Favor Committee held its televised hearings into crime. Costello testified but refused to have his face on screen, so the camera showed only his hands, and a bizarre finger Roomba set to the tune of his raspy voice, reportedly adopted by Brando for his Godfather role, which was endlessly taking the fifth. For one who had dwelled in relative anonymity, he had become overnight the symbol of the American mobster. In 1952, he drew a sentence of 18 months for contempt. Then another 5 years were tagged on for income tax evasion. Costello's power was dwindling. His public presence made deals much harder to put over, and Genovese was breathing down his neck. On May 2nd, 1957, Genovese sent Vincent the Chin Gigante to kill him. Costello was in his apartment building when Gigante cried, "This is for you, Frank," and fired from point-blank range. Costello heard the voice and turned his head, and the bullet merely scraped his temple. But he got the message, and before long opted for retirement, which he seemed to thoroughly enjoy. In 1973, he died in his sleep. So once again, this was Frank Costello. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and message.